And there we go. Hi, my name is Thomas Johnson, and I'm the founder and CEO of GetUpNGetFit Wellness Coaching Concierge. I'm also a C-suite advisor and investor, and you're listening to How May I Serve You, where I'm constantly on the quest to surround myself with the best coaches while learning how to better serve our executive clientele. By asking them, how may I serve you? Today's show is sponsored by Get Up and Get Fit. And Get Up and Get Fit will be providing students with textbooks and school supplies in Cambodia in honor of our guests today, as well as our philanthropic mission to impact at least 50,000 people per year. And today's guest is Johann Nogueira. Did I pronounce it right?
You did, bro. You did.
Okay. Great. All right. So Johann has spent his entire career solving problems and fixing businesses. He discovered the power of systemization and leverage in his early 20s, where he built his first e-commerce business. This knowledge allowed him to grow not only his business, but his clients as well. One of his latest businesses has reached a valuation of 8 figures in 2.5 years. Ooh! Oh, okay. Johann has significantly increased the bottom line of over 1,000 clients in more than 40 industries worldwide. He does this with a focus in technology and utilizing the systems he has built over the last 2 decades. Johann has an uncanny ability to increase business profits, wealth, and success. He uncovers hidden advantages, overlooked opportunities, and undervalued possibilities. This skill set has captured the attention and respect of CEOs, best-selling authors, entrepreneurs, and marketing experts. Johann's clients range from top-tier banks to private business owners, but they all have one thing in common. All of them have profited significantly from Johann's expertise. Many clients acknowledge that Johann's effort ideas have led to millions of dollars of profit increase, that he is their secret weapon in their war chest. I have the secret weapon over here. Let's go.
Let's bring it.
Go. Okay. Johann, the secret weapon. So, Johann, you are amazing. So, listen, first of all, before we even go further, I would like to thank you for helping me really find my calling. The reason why I say this is, even though I've had my company for a few years now, I was always looking for ways and means to create impact. And you were the one that introduced me to B1G1, the tool, the leverage that's allowing me to really work towards making this massive impact.
100%.
So everyone, listen, Johann, he's the guy. Like I said, he is the secret weapon in these business owners' war chest. All right. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to work towards this goal of impacting 50,000 people per year. So, Johann, right now, I just want to give you your kudos, right? Give you your flowers, right off the bat. So, Johann, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? The 2-minute version.
Sure, man. Well, you just gave us like the longest intro I'm sure that you've ever had to read out. Who am I? At the end of the day, who I am is I'm here to serve. And that's why I love the title of your podcast. Every day when I wake up, the only thing I think about is who can I help? And it was probably 20 years ago when one day I woke up and I heard this man who used to charge $25,000 an hour. And I said, how is that even possible for any person to get paid $25,000 an hour to be able to help someone? And then the answer was simple. He used to go into businesses and fix these businesses. He used to say, okay, I can see where you're at with your business, but have you thought about this? Have you thought about A, B, or C? And he literally has 3 things. And the man I'm talking about is Jay Abraham. So he's my mentor, right? And that's how we met, Thomas. We met through a Jay Abraham group. So it's amazing the people that you meet through this tiny world. You're across the globe from where I am. I'm in Australia, you're in America, and we can connect in this day and age. It's never been possible before. 30, 40, 50 years ago, this could never happen. So back to the story. This guy, he says, hey, how can I go in and fix these businesses? And I said, oh my God, I want to do that. That's who I want to be. And so I started learning and studying and then implementing these things in my business first. And then after seeing at work in my business, all my friends started coming up to me going, "Hey man, how'd you do that? Tell me, how did you create this referral campaign?" I'm like, "Shh, that's easy. Check this out." And so by showing my friends, and then people started saying, "Man, you've added so much value to my company. Can I pay you?" And then I read another thing saying, "Hey, if you're going to do something, you might as well get paid for it, right?" And so that's how sort of my business started. People started saying, "How can I get leads to my business?" I was like, "This is how you get leads. Okay, cool. How do I get them to spend more money? This is how you get them to spend more money. Uh, how do I create referral campaigns? How do I increase the size of my market? All of these things." And so just by taking these little steps, these tiny steps, which started back in 2004, we're now in 2021. Looking back, I could never have believed or achieved what I did, what I would achieve back then. Because back then I was like, man, I'm just walking around helping people. But through helping people, you actually end up changing the world. Now
Yes,
you're
indeed.
talking about, B1G1 and the impact that you're creating over there. To me, when we signed up for B1G1 through Business Authorities, I wanted to just say, okay, all the money that we're making, I just want to impact the world. And our mission is to impact 100 million people. And in
Woo!
first year, right? First year. Hey, big, hairy, audacious goal, right? If people don't laugh at it and think you're crazy, you're not dreaming big enough. So I said 100 million. But in the first year, very first year of its existence, I think we ran 5 events, right? We made 1,080,000 impacts. First year,
1 million.
right? And with 5 events, right? That 5 events is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So if we could do that with a brand new company, impact 1 million people's lives, then if everybody else gets on board, we could literally change the world.
Yes,
And so
indeed.
that's why I love B1G1 and Paul and Masami's mission, because you get to see the impacts that you're creating and you get to see people's lives change. And it was different. So the difference, I know we're talking about this, the difference between B1G1 and charities. Like I've always donated to charities and stuff, but it was an ego thing before, I got to say, because you'd say, yeah, man, I donated 10% of my profits. Big deal, big whoop. You don't actually know where that money's going. Yeah.
Can't track it.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't know how much of your money that you're giving. I started getting reports that 80% of my money wasn't actually going to the people. It was going in admin fees and all these things. So I went, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, only 20% gets to that last. But with B1G1, 100% goes to the people. And that's why I love that organization.
Exactly. And it's funny thing is normally when I refer to someone, I always vet them. I always do my due diligence. And Johann, he introduced me to the co-founder of B1G1. So I was able to meet the guy, the head honcho, and right off the bat, we built a great rapport, So once again, thank you for making that happen, Johann. And
Pleasure,
so
man.
Johann, I want you to tell us a little bit more about your childhood, man. I know you live in Australia. Have you always lived there?
Yeah. So we migrated here when I was 10 years old. So
Okay.
1991. I'm giving away my age right now. I'm 40 years old. So 91, we came here. We came from India, and when we moved here, it was crazy because we moved here during a recession. Like there was no job, and so my father, he was a engineer on the ship. So we were pretty well off back in India. And then we came here and he couldn't get a job. And literally a year passed and he had to get a job cleaning toilets at the age of 38, I think it was. And so to imagine, like literally, my age, he'd have to go and rebuild his life by going and cleaning toilets. And now he's become a very successful man. And all he ever said was, I've sacrificed my youth for you guys so that you can now carry the torch forward. And now you're in the land of opportunity. So it's every immigrant's story. That's what the parents do. They sacrifice everything for their kids. So grew up here. What else would you like to know? I could tell you stories for days, my friend.
But you know what? That's a great start because your story and my story are similar. Because I wasn't born here. I came here from Liberia. I survived a civil war, so I came here in '91 as well.
Wow.
I came here in '91. So I came here. I was a skinny African kid with a thick accent, and we moved to Brownsville, Brooklyn. This is like back in the '90s. This is like when it was bad. This was, So imagine having
Civil War.
Yeah, I survived the Civil War, man. Imagine coming from that to a whole different environment and having to just go through the difference and diversity, having to survive, kids trying to pick on you because you're different, right? So it's a
Yep.
the immigrant story is a powerful one, man. It really helps you to create that shell, right? That protective shell. So I always respect speaking to other individuals that have similar background as I do, you know?
It builds resilience.
Definitely does, man. Definitely does.
You got to get
Definitely.
that thick skin. If you don't, you create one in the first year.
Yes, indeed. Definitely, definitely. So Johan, I want you to tell us a little bit more about what you do because I know you've helped so many companies, CEOs, and various organizations to scale. What do you
Yeah,
do?
awesome.
What's the company? Is it a consulting company? Talk to me more about
Yeah,
that.
man. I'll give you a quick little rundown. So I own 8 companies at this point in time.
Whew.
Um, um, it's freaking awesome because, as I said, it's a land of opportunity, and every time we get an opportunity, in which other country could I own and start off 8 companies and run them simultaneously, have staff and everything, and just it's incredible.
Do it
So
without having any gray hairs needed. I don't see any gray hair on the head, man. I don't see any gray hair. So you have 8 companies with no gray hair. That's a that's a miracle right there.
actually, when my daughter was born 4 years ago, that's when I got my first gray hair.
Okay.
So I'll give you a quick rundown of my companies. I have 2 digital agencies. The first one is about 10 years old now. That one is like going to a Chinese restaurant. Like I built this company when I had very little business acumen, right? It was,
Okay.
back, when you look back, you're like, oh my God, how did I do that? And so when I say it's like a Chinese restaurant, you literally go into that company, you open up the menu, and there's 100 things on the menu. So it's very high volume, low profit, but it supports more than 100 employees. Therefore, I'm never going to shut that down. We've
Nice,
built
nice.
a great little referral system. We have about 36 agencies who feed the work into that company. And so that's what we're pretty much a white label agency. So we're doing all this work on behalf of all these other companies. And
Okay.
that's how that one runs. I built another company, which we were talking about, which is it's app technology. So we build mobile apps for buildings. So all the buildings that are going up in this, in my city,
Mhm.
they have my technology that runs the buildings. And basically, it started off with I moved into this building, and when I moved in, the guy said, "This is the best building in Melbourne. It's the most highly advanced, technologically advanced building." I'm like, "Yes, I love tech." And then I get a piece of paper under my door, and it says, "Your window is gonna get cleaned." I'm like, "All right." And then that night, I get another one saying, "The carpets are gonna get vacuumed." I'm like, "Well, all right." A month goes by, I get an inch thick of paper sitting on my table. And I take this to the guy. I'm like, "Hey, man, how much is this costing me?" He said, "It's $1 per sheet." I said, "$1 per sheet? 500 apartments, $1 per sheet twice a day, $1,000 a day just to tell me that the pool is getting cleaned? Like, what the?" I go,
Wow.
"Why don't we build an app for the building?" He's like, "An app for the building? This is 2012." He's like, "I
Mm.
don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "It's okay, I'll do it." So I go to Dubai. I check out their technology, come back here, we deploy it over here. We built a building management system, we built this app technology, we launch it into this building. This guy goes, "This is incredible. Can I partner with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's partner." So secret to success, partnerships, always, right? My first company, 36 partnerships. This company, partnership with this guy who had the database. He had 30 buildings. So we launch it into these buildings. It takes 2 years to launch it. And then this guy goes, "Hey, man, I'm retiring. I'm saying, I'm retiring. You buy the company." I'm like, "Well, okay, like I got no choice. Sure, why not?" So I buy the company off him. And then I'm sitting there with all this amazing technology, but I'm not a guy to walk around buildings trying to sell them, apps. Like,
Mhm.
so I said, "Universe, please hook me up here. I need some help." And I get a phone call from these guys going, "Hey, we love your technology. We've been trying to copy it for 2 years. What's it going to take to buy you out or partner with you?" I'm like, keyword
Wow.
partnership. I go,
There
"Let's
you
sit down.
go.
Let's." So we sit down, we talk, and just like you, Thomas, I vet every person that I do business with. So I'm talking to these guys. I've looked at their profiles, and I cannot believe I'm sitting at this table. So the reason I say that is I'm sitting down talking to these guys. The last company that they built, they took it to $1.2 billion. Yeah,
Ooh, big
yeah,
boys.
I'm sitting with the big boys, baby. I'm like, hell yeah! How did I get to this table? Anyway, so they say this is the company we want to build. This is the resources we have. We want to build it to $100 million. And I'm
Okay.
like, all right. I'm like, yo, man, but right now my company's doing $1 million, and I've got that much stress on my head. I cannot imagine building $100 million company. And they go, don't worry, we don't build businesses like that. We build them properly. I'm like, what do you mean build them properly? What does that mean? Like, who says that?
Systems.
And
Okay.
so in 4 years, it turns into a $20 million company. And it was the easiest company we ever built because it had proper foundations, proper systems, proper structures, proper distribution channels. And so through that process, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, wow. And I was literally on cloud nine. While I was doing that, unfortunately, two of my friends, they committed suicide, which
Oh, wow.
happens in the business world. It's something that most
Yeah.
people don't like to talk about, but business is stressful.
Stressful.
It's very stressful. It's a lonely road. When you decide to get into business, when you decide to quit that 9 to 5, you end up getting a 24/7 365 with no breaks, and you sacrifice time with your family, all of these things, especially in the first years. Afterwards you can reap the rewards. So these guys do the unthinkable, and I said, oh my God, how did this happen? One of the guys, his funeral had 500 people, right? So there's a lot of impact that's happened from this one person doing this. And so I said, my God, how does a man make that decision? So I started calling up all my other friends, and then found out that they were experiencing, loneliness. They'd reached plateaus, etc., and they didn't know how to move forward with their business. So I said, let me help you. And so then they started asking me, who do I use for this, for this, for this? And so I started putting together my dream team of people who I work with. And then I asked some of them, would you like to present this on stage and share this with a bigger audience? And they said, that was the start of Business Authorities. So Business Authorities, the first event kicked off, I think it was January 2019. 150 people, showed up for this event. My promise to them was pay the ticket fee, and no one on stage is going to pitch you anything, but you're going to get 2 days of pure strategy and content. That's it. And take that and implement it. And that's how Business Authorities, the community, was built. And from there, we're now at something like 3,000 people. Right. So
3001. I mean, I'm about to join.
Yeah, and it's all about building, growing, and scaling companies, and how to do it properly, right? So that's Business Authorities. 2019, one of those 36 agencies that I spoke to you about with my first company, I was looking at the books. Now, I've got a general manager who runs the company. I just look at the books and see the numbers here. So I'm looking at the books and I go, oh, wow, this company is not ordering from us anymore. So I called up the dude. I'm like, hey, man, why are you not ordering from us? Do you not like us anymore? And he goes, nah, his business partner has cancer, and so he's been struggling and he doesn't know what to do. I said,
oh, wow.
Dude, you've been in business for 18 years. What are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to shut the company down. I go, shut the company down? Are you serious? Like 18 years of hard work. What are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to get a job. I'm like, you can't do that. You're unemployable. Right? So I go, let me look at the books. Let me see if I want to buy the company. He's like, yeah, I'm up for it. So we go to look at the books. I'm like, they're blue chip clients. Like, this guy's got a database of, I think it was 4,000 people back then. 4,000 people, of which 800 were blue chip clients. When I'm talking blue chip, I'm talking about mining companies, banks, companies that were established for more than 100 years. I'm like, man, I'm buying this company. So we did a managed buyout. So we did this managed buyout, agreed on the number. He comes with me to the first meeting. The first meeting we go to is the mining company. We walk out of there so he's in the past, by the way, tell me, as I said, I can talk to you for days on all this stuff, right? So you lead me when you need me to stop. And
no, this is good. One thing that I'm seeing on a reoccurring basis is you come off with empathy, right? You come out with empathy, and you're always looking for ways and means to provide a solution, right?
Yep.
You are a problem solver right off the back. You're not coming off trying to ask people for money. Your main focus is to solve the problem, and what happens is you end up creating a business or opportunity from that, and it seems like that's like a reoccurring theme right there. Reoccurring theme right there, and that's powerful, man. This is something I want more people to understand. It's not always about trying to figure out how much money you can make right up front. It's finding the solution to a problem, and that's going to manifest into opportunities, and you are a testament to that right there. But I want to dive into this question, man. Knowing how hard you work and how full your schedule is, have you also experienced any health and wellness challenges? Because I know being a person that's managing all these companies, you have a lot going on.
Dude, back in, I think it was 2011, when everything was like kicking off, I went from being pretty much a solopreneur to a guy who had employees. Now I had to wake up, and if I didn't wake up and I didn't do what I did, people weren't getting fed. People's families were not getting fed. So that's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress on my shoulders. So I was dealing with, I think we had 15 employees at that point in time. I had about 40 clients who were sending us, all this work. So I had to deal with clients. I had to deal with my project managers. I had to deal with my outsourcers. I had to deal with all the stuff. And I would literally wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and work until midnight. And even then I couldn't shut the brain off. So I would drink probably a bottle of alcohol, right? Which is not a good thing to do. And before you know it, I'm eating crap. Just junk food, just trying to get that little sugar hit to keep going for an extra hour. I started to balloon out, started to look unhealthy, all of this. And then I one day woke up and looked in the mirror and I said, who the hell is this guy? That ain't me. And so I started to take control of my life again and said, you know what, I'm going to set some boundaries. I will not be taking calls after this point in time. I will start eating properly. I will not just reach for junk food every time. By taking control of my life, and then it gave me control back, which then allowed me to deliver more, focus more on people rather than my own bullshit, right? Because when you're doing all these things, you're just being reactive.
There you
when
go.
You're in control, when you're in control, you can make things happen. Exactly. And one of the things, when my kids were born, I was like, wow, I want to be around for my kids. I want to play with my kids. I want to be able to run with my kids. I see all these other dads at the park and stuff that their kids are outrunning them. I'm like, hell no, I'm not going to let my kid outrun me.
Some of these dads can't even bend over to tie the shoelaces, man. Unfortunately,
exactly.
That's the reality. It's crazy, man, because like your story is part of the reason why I have my company, right? My wellness company. Like back in the day when I used to be a celebrity trainer, I dealt with a lot of entrepreneurs and executives. And I had this one situation where I was working with a client. She was the VP of a multi-billion-dollar company in Manhattan. But I noticed she was having most of her meals and her meetings at bars and restaurants in the city. She was having about 8 meetings per week, once to 3 drinks with each meeting. And when I saw that and I approached her about it, I explained what I just discovered. Now, this was a lady that was very astute. She was very, well held up. She carried herself. I think she was the A personality type. She carried herself very well and very upfront. And when I explained to her that if she continued going towards that direction, that trajectory, she was going to become ill. She broke down my arm, started crying. She literally broke down. And this is when I realized that entrepreneurs and executives, they are extremely stressed out. Prior to that, I wasn't even aware because I was just a trainer and like a nutritionist at that time. And gradually I wanted to create a solution for this. And I created my concierge company, man. Something, a company to provide accountability and that support. So like it's like same thing with you. If there's a problem, you have to come up with a solution, right? And now I'm actually passionate about what I do. I'm living my truth, and especially with what you did for me, introduced me to B1G1. I'm able to connect that to a cause and create even more of a massive impact. So everything happens for a reason, man. Our various experiences, our adversity becomes lesson, and lesson helps you to really generate more solutions, right? It's literally like a circle. You go around and around, round and round. So yeah, man, this is a beautiful thing right here. So as you were saying, so you started to invest in yourself more, you started to put yourself first, and your output expanded.
Correct.
There you 100%. Go, man. That's self-investment. That's self-investment.
Take control of your life. I realized that by me reaching for junk food, it was a coping mechanism. By me reaching for alcohol, by the way, I don't drink anymore, it was a coping mechanism to shut down the brain. I was like, I need to shut down so I can sleep. All that, it just meant that I was out of control. When you're in control, you can do what you want and you create the outcomes. You are a creator when you're in control.
And so, you know what, too? Yeah, and check this. The thing is, it became a habit for you, right? You got so used to living this lifestyle that you wasn't even aware what was going on until you looked yourself in the mirror, until you had that rude awakening. Because if you hadn't gone through that experience of oh snap, this is what's happening. I just ballooned out, right? You have continued to go down that trajectory, and God know what's going to happen after that, man.
Exactly,
You know?
exactly. And so many friends, unfortunately, who are older than me. I spend a lot of time with older people because you learn from the older generations, right?
Yes, indeed.
They gave up on their bodies. When they gave up on
Mm.
their bodies, their relationships started to fall apart. When their relationships started to fall apart, their mental health started falling apart. Like, hey
Mhm.
man, my wife doesn't think I'm attractive anymore. I'm gonna go back to work and make money. So then I'm gonna buy her stuff, and then that's kind of how I'm gonna win her love. So many stories just like that, right?
Yes,
Whereas the
man.
ones who live life to their fullest, and by the way, our generations are living longer, so we might be getting to 100, hopefully, fingers crossed. So you want to be a fit 100-year-old, or do you want to be, in a bed getting looked after by somebody? Those are sort of the decisions you got to make now, which
Mhm.
impact later on.
And the funny thing is, people think that they're invincible, right? So they don't think about the outcomes of their behaviors and their actions. So it's funny, man. It's funny how human beings act and the way we operate in this society, right? But
100.
listen, you are on point, man. You understand what you need to do, and you're doing it right now. And because of that, you're helping more people. You have more energy for your kid, and for your relationship, your family, you know. So okay, so when you come home from work, how do you feel? Do you have energy to still play with your daughter, to hang out with your wife? Talk to me about that, man.
Yeah, man. So I built my business out now so that I only actually ever talk to 7 people. So, I told you the story about my father, working from
Yeah.
5 in the morning until like midnight nearly every night. So we didn't get to spend much time with my dad.
Hmm.
Now I get to spend heaps of time with my dad because they live 5 minutes away
Oh,
and
that's
we hang
awesome.
out and we're like the best of friends. But
Okay.
he he wasn't there when I was a child. I wanted to
Hmm.
make sure that I am there for my children, which I am. And so by setting those boundaries, I only talk to 7 people in my companies. And then they go and they do what they need to do, which then
Mm.
allows me brain space to think and strategize and create
You're
relationships
creative.
and do
Hmm.
fun things like this. Whereas, before I would never be able to do these kinds of
Yeah,
things
I'm about to
because
say, yeah, running 8 companies and still be able to have a podcast like at like 9 in the morning, in Australia. But you made it happen. So it's all about. So talk to me about systems. Then you're able to create these systems,
100.
and these various these managerial positions to help you execute. I think this is why most businesses fail, or they don't have the systems in place. You know.
Correct. So, having if it's I keep telling people, just think about McDonald's. Everybody in the world has heard about McDonald's.
Hmm.
Can McDonald's hire 50 people today and not feel any issues in terms of their operations? The answer is yes. Can they train 50 people? Yes. Can they hire 500 people? The answer is yes. Why? Because they have the systems to hire those people, the systems to train those people, the systems to have those people on, they have 15-year-olds running their companies. What would your company be like if you could have 15-year-olds running the company, making you heaps of money, right? And by the way, I used to work at McDonald's. I used to work at
Okay.
McDonald's back in 1994, making $5.51 an hour. And I remember one turning point was when I came home and my dad said to me, "How many burgers did you make today, son?" I said, "I think I made about 500 burgers." He's
Oof.
like, "You made 500 burgers, and how much did you get paid?" I'm like, "I think I got paid like $50." He's like, "You worked 10 hours. You're gonna get taxed on that $50 too."
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Wow.
made 500 burgers. I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, I created a lot of value, right?
Hmm.
Value for the people who enjoyed it. So anyway, systems, most businesses fail because they don't have the right systems in place. Systems in terms of lead generation systems, customer delivery, onboarding, all of those things. The right systems will actually make your company great. And most people don't invest in that. They're still stuck in hunting and gathering. They'll hunt for a
Yeah.
client, they'll get a client, they'll deliver for 2 weeks, then they're hunting again, all those things.
Yeah, that used to be me. That used to be me. So I'm working on getting better. I have a
Awesome.
team right now that I leverage. Now, not as big as yours, but I'm working. I'm working there. So Johan, what drives you, man?
What drives me? Impact. We
Impact.
only have
Okay.
a very finite amount of time on this planet. And at the end of the day, it's not about money. Money gets you certain things, but soon you realize that you can't really spend that much money. Yeah, every person reaches a point where they're like, I can't buy any more stuff, I can't have any more houses, can't drive any more cars. Why am I really here? And when you realize you're really here to create impact, to help people, that's when you have a true awakening and you go, wow, I would just love to live out the rest of my days helping people.
Mm,
Yeah.
Powerful, all right. And this is why we're friends, because of that one word right there, impact.
Yeah.
And I always like to
100.
connect. I always like to connect myself with people with similar mindset. I'm very big on that. My peace of mind, number one, and number two, who I associate myself with. And Johann, he's an amazing guy. So, what do you believe you need to improve right now in order to get to the next level?
Me personally,
Yeah.
dude, I'm working on like 10 things on myself right now.
Okay. Okay.
I'm constant, never-ending improvement. Working on my mindset, my spirituality, my body,
Mm,
my relationships, my friendships. Yeah, man, my money. Because yeah. Anyway, so there's all those things.
there you go. There you go. Just the fact that you're constantly working on yourself, it shows that you're not trying to be stagnant. You're trying to constantly grow. You know,
Yep.
this is why
You're growing or you're dying, man. You're growing or
exactly
you're
either grow or you die. This is why myself personally, I don't believe in retirement. I don't believe
no.
in retirement because there's always something to do. You know.
Retirement's for employees. when
Yeah,
when
that's true. Interesting. Yeah.
when you do what you love, there is no retirement. That's just
Mm,
you just like I have a lot of friends who are they're like 80 years old and they're still like one of the guys, he's a trillionaire. He's building buildings like there's no tomorrow. I'm like, why? How much more money do you need? He goes, it's not about money. He goes, I built a building. People have moved in. People are living there. There's kids growing up because I
mm.
decided to wake up and build a building. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a different way to look at
That's a
things, right?
great mindset. That's a great mindset. So, Johan, what advice would you like to give to other executives about staying on top of their game?
Just surround yourself like that. Napoleon Hill, the 5 people you hang around with, the most important thing. You hang
Mm,
around with fat dudes, you're going to be fat. You hang around with fit dudes, you're going to be fit. You hang around with smart dudes, you're going to be smart. It's just the law. It's one of the laws of nature, right?
there you
So,
go.
yeah, man, that's it. Just
Okay.
keep working on yourself. You'll never ever outcompete yourself because who you are today is different to the person you were yesterday. And that little new data points that you give yourself, if people who knew me a week ago, I'm different to who I was a week ago, right?
Mm, mm.
Because we're constantly changing. Your thoughts, the amount of thoughts that you're having every day, I think it's something like 72,000 thoughts a day.
77,000. Yeah, yeah.
So your
Constant
brain
growth.
is constantly rewiring. And so just constant evolution. And that's what makes friendships really good because a lot of different friends have the same thing. And so when you catch up and you get to talk on this another level about how you've leveled up and you get to see that journey. So that's what I love.
There you go. That's awesome right there, man. So, are you currently working on any new projects that you'd like to share with us? Any new books, new projects, new
Yeah,
programs? Talk
yeah,
to
for
us,
sure.
man.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of books that I'm writing right now. They should be out by the end of the year, hopefully.
Okay.
Um, I'm launching another couple of businesses. We just bought a software company, and we've combined this thing's been in existence for 13 years. Combined 8 other softwares together to make it a super software, right? And it's for every business owner needs this because it focuses on lead generation at the click of a button. Thomas, you tell me that you want all the CEOs in New York to know who you are. You click a button, you type in New York, you click generate, you have their names, emails, phone numbers, everything. Then you click another button, and now you're on all their Facebook, following them around with ads, with your content, and they're seeing you everywhere. They're getting to know you, like you, trust you. And then they get into your funnel and there's engagement happening. You're like, hey, it's Thomas, how are you doing? And you build that rapport all automatically. This
Wow.
AI technology, like artificial intelligence technology, can be having 100 conversations every minute with 100 different people. So
What?
that's my like how much lead gen can you do in a day? This thing can do 100 times that, right?
Wow.
It literally. So I'll give you a quick example. When Canva, have you heard of Canva?
Yes,
CANV. So
I definitely
Canva
know.
is an
I know Canva.
Australian company. When it came out, when we started using it, it replaced the work that program did. It replaced 5 of our graphic designers. right?
Wow.
And it would take 10 minutes to do what they used to do in 8 hours. This AI technology, this conversational technology for lead generation and to manage your entire company, that's what I've now invested in. It's going to be pretty awesome, I think.
Just let me know when it's out. All right. I'm your first guy. Right. Shoot me an
Anytime.
email, give me a call, shoot me a text, and I'll be the
Awesome.
first one to jump on. Because that sounds
Man.
amazing right there. So if someone were to inquire about your services or just want to connect with you, all right, where can they find you, Johann?
Yeah, man, for sure. So if you go to Business Authorities, BUSINESS, authorities with an S.com/new-training. Thomas, I'm sure you'll put the link in here. You guys can get about 4 hours of my brain of exactly how I build and grow and scale companies. So go check it out. It's an awesome training and you'll enjoy it.
There you go. You heard it from the
Cool.
man. Go to his site, go check out his content, go get the wisdom you need to step it up. All right. Johann, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for, taking the chance to, hop on this episode. And last but not least, how may I serve you, my friend?
Dude, just keep doing what you're doing. You impacting those 50,000. Dude, I want to help you blow that out of the water. Let's make it happen.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
After
Thank
this,
you,
we'll
man.
have a conversation. Let's do it.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's go. Let's go. I'm hyped.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Thomas.
No problem, man. So, everyone, thanks for coming on board. Thanks for lending us your ears and your eyeballs, and make sure to tune in to next week's episode. Cheers.
See ya. Bye.